The arrest of Britain's former Prince Andrew, now called just Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. After years of speculation about Andrew's ties to Jeffrey Epstein, police arrested the ex-prince this morning on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The accusation is related to Epstein's links to Epstein, but seemingly only about allegations of sharing sensitive UK government information with him. It's kind of like Al Capone, right? Because in the end, they didn't go after him on violent crimes, but tax evasion. So while we don't know the full details yet here, and Andrew hasn't been officially charged, we are talking about a potentially more straightforward path to prosecution, especially if the emails back that up. So you're not talking sex crimes, although here's what's interesting. Police spent the day searching both Andrew's current home on the Royal Sandringham estate and the Royal Lodge in Windsor, the home the king essentially threw Andrew out of recently. And if UK law is similar to the United States law, if authorities find evidence of another crime, let's say in plain sight, they don't just ignore it, okay? Now, after 11 hours of questioning, Andrew was released under investigation, which means he hasn't been charged or exonerated. It could take the Crown Prosecution Service months to determine if charges are warranted. It's a little bit different than what we have here in the United States. But remember, Andrew is the first senior royal to be arrested in almost 4 centuries. And today, King Charles released quite a statement saying the law must take its course. Now, one way to interpret that, other than saying, Andrew, you're on your own, the Crown is not getting involved or interfering with this case in any way. Now, Prince William, Princess Kate, only saying they support the King's statement. The family of Virginia Giuffre also commenting on Andrew's arrest. Virginia alleged that Epstein had trafficked her to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was just 17. Now, sadly, she died by suicide last year, but her siblings saying no one is above the law, not even royalty.
We're hopeful. I think we're very hopeful that this is the start of the domino effect. This is where the house of cards starts falling. And, you know, kudos to the UK for taking the first step.
Okay, my next guests are well-respected attorneys who represent several of Jeffrey Epstein accusers. Joining me now, civil rights attorneys Lisa Bloom and Josh Schiffer. It's great to see both of you. Lisa, I'll start with you. As an attorney for Epstein survivors, what is your reaction to Andrew's arrest today?
Well, it's nice to see one country where nobody is above the law. If only that applied here in the U.S. Heads have now rolled at the highest levels of politics in Norway, France, Slovakia, and the UK, but not in the U.S., where the DOJ continues to cover up names of perpetrators, talking about little girls who were abused. That is sad.
Well, actually, let me ask you about that. Didn't the DOJ kind of put themselves in a tough position because they released a memo last summer where they basically said, we looked at everything and there's nobody else to prosecute or investigate? Now, I guess they could go back and say, well, we were only talking about sex trafficking charges, maybe not, you know, misconduct in office or a financial crime. Do you think that what happened today in the UK and public pressure, and you're seeing a bipartisan effort, do you think we're going to see investigations and charges against high-profile people here in the United States?
No, I don't. And you are kinder to the DOJ than I would be. Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, has said he's not going to do any more investigations, even though in the files that were just released, there's discussion about 9-year-old girls, 10-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls, little girls, torture videos, and a lot of other really suspicious and appalling information that any other Department of Justice under any other president would have investigated.
Josh, I want to go to you. I don't know if you need your glasses to see how horrifying that picture is of Prince Andrew, but I do have to ask you, I think it's significant what happened today, his arrest. Why? Obviously, if you're talking about a charge about misconduct in public office, yeah, they got to meet elements of, was it willful? Is there no reasonable explanation for sharing or allegedly sharing this material? It has to be really egregious. Okay. The searches. Am I wrong to believe that this potentially opens the door for them not only to find corroborating evidence of misconduct in office, but I don't know, sex charges?
It's going to fall into plain view exposure, just like here in the United States and most other Western legal traditions. If you have a lawful and valid reason to be present during a search, and British search laws are much more broad than here in the United States. If you're subject to a search, the subject matter then gets to be included in whatever investigation is happening. And this is a natural expansion of what the Crown would be there investigating. They're allowed to fully search out and develop cases report back. And just as the king said, let the law do its job. The real question is going to be what can get turned up. Both his residences were searched. That stretches back years. And who knows what was laying around? And who knows what they already know? As Lisa and I have represented so many people, they ask questions they know the answers to already. An effective interrogation could have revealed things that would be deleterious to the royalty and their reputations.
I'll go back to that charge in a second, or the potential charge. Lisa, you have been calling for Andrew to cooperate with U.S. authorities for quite some time now. You think we're going to see that?
No, I don't think we're going to see that. He said in 2019 in the infamous BBC interview where everything started to crash down around him afterwards, he said he would cooperate with authorities, and then he never did, not even once, not ever. Why? Well, maybe because he has something to hide. And I would say to Prince Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew, although you have seemingly lost everything, you still have the chance to preserve your legacy and preserve your integrity. Come clean. Tell us what happened with regard to you and anybody else who's responsible for the greatest, largest sex trafficking ring in human history that we're aware of that was headed up by Jeffrey Epstein. Tell us. Come clean, ask for forgiveness. The American public can be very forgiving when people do that. It has happened.
It does matter about the severity of the charge or the potential charges that he faces. Now, Josh, I did research all today, and it seems to me in one section this could be more of a straightforward case, right? If you're looking at the emails and they're pretty straightforward, he's sharing information maybe he was not permitted to share with Jeffrey Epstein, okay, but does it rise to the level of how egregious it could be under the law, that it was willful, that he didn't have a reasonable explanation? And also I have to say, in one of the communications, it looked to Epstein, you know, I'm looking at this investment in Afghanistan, where, by the way, British troops were, but also suggesting, hey, I'm also going to propose this to Abu Dhabi, which makes me wonder, maybe it wasn't just Jeffrey Epstein he's accused of sharing confidential information with.
And that's exactly the great thing about these big releases and these big searches. It's not necessarily the specific target of the search. It's what other things can be put together from those results. We now have the great public, you know, social media universe, which has done some fantastic investigation confirming dates, times, places, contexts, because we can only learn so much through emails. Smart criminals don't write it down. You actually see that referenced in some of the materials that have been released, that I don't want to talk about this via email. So we know that there's more out there, and this investigation can lead to more countries bringing charges, investigation, and I believe that's the only way the administration here in the United States will be leveraged into taking additional action that's desperately needed.
It's a major, major development in this case, and I will tell you, if it wasn't for the push to release all these files and for transparency, probably wouldn't be seeing this. And look, I know he hasn't been charged. I know here in the United States you're innocent until proven guilty, but again, very big development. I'm curious to see what happens from it. Lisa Bloom, Josh Schiffer, first of all, great to see both of you. Thank you for coming on my show, and really appreciate it. Yes, thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.